AAA games tend to look really good. And it's easy to think that's only because they spend millions of dollars every year on highly professional and specialized artists. But did you know that you can also achieve really good looking results by yourself with just a few simple tricks? Real quick, I'm D2, a professional 3D game artist working at Blizzard, and I'm here to tell you all the secrets. It's a common misconception to think that a good looking game requires high fidelity assets and textures. But if you look at games like Hollow Knight or Outer Wilds, the assets they use aren't necessarily considered high fidelity. But why do these games still look so good? And the answer to that question is in the art of composition, aka the way you arrange your assets. So here are 3 AAA game art techniques everyone should use. Starting from number 3, adding directionality. Directionality refers to the way your composition directs your viewer's eyes. This can be used to bring attention to points of interest within your game, subconsciously funnel the player to move towards where you want them to go, or just overall create more visually pleasing results. If you look at this screenshot from Outer Wilds, you'll notice that the trees and the cliffs form strong directional lines that all point towards a single vanishing point. This helps bring attention to the only asset in the scene that's not following the same directionality, the observatory. Its contrast in directionality, shape language, as well as brightness makes this a more visually interesting image to look at. Here is the screenshot from the game Elden Ring. If you were playing the game right now, where would you head towards if you want to progress further in the game? Is it 1, to the left up the hill, 2, straight ahead through the gate, or 3, to the right into the ruins? If you chose 2, through the gate, then you've chosen it because subconsciously you're being guided by the clever use of directionality. In this example, the rock formation, the wagon, and the stone wall in the distance all subtly point towards the castle gate. This was a conscious decision done by a level artist. If I simply rotate the wagon towards a different direction, or move and angle some of these assets differently, all of a sudden, the scene doesn't feel cohesive anymore. And that, my friend, is the power of directionality. When adding assets to your game, think about how you can angle and position your assets to subtly point towards where you want your players to look at or go to. Keep in mind not to create too many straight or parallel lines in the process though, as that can make your environment feel unnatural. And if you're unsure whether or not your placements work, try screen grabbing your game and flip it horizontally. This will give you a more refreshed and objective look at your work. Number 2, utilizing rhythm and flow. The concept of rhythm and flow can be applied to almost every aspect of game development. You can use it to create more pleasing visuals to help draw people in, smooth the navigation to help player traverse your level more easily, and guide the viewer's flow of attention to help them focus on what you want them to focus on. Rhythm and flow are each used in different contexts. Rhythm applies to the spacing between where objects are placed. I like to combine this with the concept of golden ratio, which is anywhere between 6:4 to 7:3. When placing assets, apply some offset in the spacing between each object using the golden ratio. This will help create a more natural and pleasing visual result. Flow, on the other hand, applies to the outline created by connecting the bounding edges of your objects. Let's use the same foliage kit as an example. By placing each asset at various heights, we're creating curved outlines that flow smoothly from one end to another. Additionally, these curves also follow the golden ratio in terms of the size of its arcs. This flowing pattern is what gives the illusion of naturalistic appearance, though in fact we're actually quite consciously and artificially compositing this arrangement. One small tip when thinking about flow is to stick to using simple curves like tapering curves, C curves, or S curves. It will help you simplify the process and is easier for the players to digest. Keep in mind all these techniques can apply to other visual aspects of game art as well, such as character design, level design, and visual effects. Rhythm and flow is something that takes time and patience to master, but once you get the hang of it, this is one of the most efficient ways to make your game look and feel professional. Number 1, using big, medium, and small. I've explained in my last video how big, medium, and small can help provide a better sense of scale that feels realistic and relatable to your players. If you haven't seen it, be sure to check it out after this video. Here, I'm gonna dive a little deeper into how you can create more visually aesthetic results by integrating golden ratio into the concept of big, medium, and small. When putting together your game, think about how you can combine assets of various sizes to create good rhythm and flow. In this screenshot of the game Stray, you might not notice anything odd at first, but if I put the original screenshot next to it instead, you'll see how adding those extra little bits of detail not only helps inform the scale of the scene better, but also makes the composition more interesting to look at. In this scene, the garage door is the big shape, the barrels and the trash bags are the medium shapes, and the tiny cups and foliage form the small shapes. The height and width differences between these shapes follow the golden ratio, which is what makes this whole composition pleasing to the eyes. These various sized objects create S-curves that guide your flow of attention towards the gate, and the bottles next to the trash, tiles on the floor, and railings on the top all create a strong sense of directionality that subtly points toward the gate as well. Using all 3 techniques mentioned earlier, combined with well-designed lighting, the developers created something that not only looks and feels good visually, but also serves an important gameplay purpose that subconsciously funnels the player towards the objective. And that is one of the many reasons that made Stray as successful as it is. Alright y'all, do me a favor and hit that red button below if you learned something new today. And with that said, I'll see y'all next time. Peace!